Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today we will dive into a very exciting topic, how to plan a winning 2026 L&D strategy with AI video. This session is eligible for HRCI, SHRM, and ATD professional development credits. Now let's meet today's speakers. First, we have Karina Gignani, Head of Enterprise Product at HeyGen, and Michael Rochelle, our Chief Strategy Officer and Principal Analyst at Brennan Hall Group. Before we dive into today's content, let me tell you about Brennan Hall Group and some incredible opportunities that could accelerate your career. Brennan Hall Group is a leading professional development firm that has been serving learning, talent, and HR executives worldwide for more than 30 years. We've advanced the growth and performance of millions of employees and leaders through our cloud-based platform, delivering evidence-based research, data, and certification programs that empower organizations to achieve excellence in every area of human capital management. Our impact spans more than 10 million employees and executives globally, supported by our comprehensive research library, strategic insights, and prestigious awards program. Below is a sample of the organizations we are proud to partner with. We have incredible learning and networking opportunities. Registration is open for our HCM Excellence Conference happening next year, February 9th through 12th. This is where top minds in human capital management come together. We also have our two BRIC events happening next year, our AI Summit on October 15th and 16th, and our Women in Leadership event on November 18th, 2026. We also invite you to participate in our research studies. Links will be available after the webinar, or you can always visit brennanhall.com. Once the results are analyzed, all participants receive a piece of complimentary research and other exclusive benefits. All details and applications for everything I've mentioned will be available in a PDF you'll receive in 24 hours after the webinar. A huge shout out to today's webinar sponsor, HeyGen. HeyGen began with a straightforward concept, simplifying AI video creation. Today, they are revolutionizing storytelling through their AI video generation tools, enabling anyone to craft high-quality AI-generated videos effortlessly. Please visit them at www.heygen.com to learn more. We are excited to share that at the end of today's webinar, we will be selecting one lucky raffle winner to win $100 off a Brennan Hall Group Institute membership. Stay tuned to see if you are the lucky winner. You must be present to win. Now, just a few quick things to note. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the questions panel on your control bar. We'll be answering them throughout the session. We're also recording today's webinar, and you'll receive an email within 24 hours with a link to the recording and a PDF of the slides. The chat box is open, so feel free to share your thoughts as we go along. Your input makes this more valuable for everyone. Now I would like to pass things off to Michael.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm pretty excited about this because I think it's an area that we all should be spending a lot more time and focus on. AI video generation is like just super cool. And you're going to find out from the HeyGen group that it's not as hard as you think it is to do. And it's extremely impactful with your learners. So let's dig in and just kind of cover the agenda really quick. So we all know what challenges are. So we just want to kind of bring you up to speed on what we're seeing as priorities and challenges, what needs to be addressed. And then we're going to get right to it. We're going to be talking about how AI video kind of gets at that enablement of content production rapid, because we all know we need to get learning to move at the speed of business, but we need that personalization, inclusivity that really engages the learner, motivates the learner to learn. And then we're going to be talking about some predictions. We're going to pull out the crystal ball. It's good timing because HeyGen has their predictions. We're just finishing up our HCM Outlook book for 2026. So we'll be sharing some of those cool ideas. And then we'll also be talking about these kind of practical steps to future proofing. And this is where we're going to talk a little AI. It wouldn't be a webinar without talking a little bit of AI. It's the new bacon of HCM technology, but there's some really cool application. I'm super excited about having Karina on and the HeyGen team. I've been a student of theirs now over a period of time, understanding what they're doing. And I think you're really going to be amazed that this is not a far future, but it's a now and near future, and there's a lot to be learned here. Okay, so let's jump into our first poll question. And this is to get everybody chatting. And what we want to know is when you look at your learning and development organization, which one of these phases most closely matches you? So give you a little bit of time to read through responses. Also want to make sure as we're going through things today, load up the chat, fire those questions out to Karina and myself. We're here to answer your questions, make it interactive, make sure that you walk away with what you need. And we've got a team ready to jump in and give us those questions, and we'll make sure we provide those answers live. Okay, so we'll give it a few more seconds and then we'll be able to share the results. Okay, so let's take a look at the results. So it's interesting, we've got about 70% of the audience that's in phase 1 and 2, and about 30% of the audience is in what we've called a 3-4 stage. It's very interesting. So, and nobody's in phase 4. What a surprise. But you're going to find out how fast you can get into agentic AI today. So fasten your seatbelt. But Karina, how do you feel about that? Like our research shows, we just recently did an AI survey, and we found out that about 50% of people in the I don't know yet to I'm sticking a toe in the water. So the numbers are maybe a little bit higher here, but generally speaking, the majority of the people are early.
Yeah,
How
I
do you
think
feel about that, and what are you seeing?
yeah, well, first off, thank you all for having me. Huge shout out to Brandon Hall Group, Michael, Ivy, and the entire team for giving us the platform to really share what we're seeing. And I think, as it relates to this poll, it's actually not super surprising to me. I think what we all forget is we're still in the early innings of AI. And it's very normal as an organization, if you're an L&D, to just start to maybe explore, but see kind of ungoverned individual experimentation or in as phase 2 talks about just some sort of pilot programming emerging. I think where we are as a company is we're starting to see our customers repeatedly use HeyGen and be able to prove out ROI. But what we strongly believe is it's not on the customer to get themselves through phase 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. It's on us as solutions to make it very easy for you all to adopt AI and ramp up on that learning curve.
All right, let's dive into it.
Awesome. So I would love to maybe share to kick off the key L&D challenges and priorities organizations must be addressing by 2026, right? So next slide. And I think, Michael, we have another poll.
Yeah, so let's talk about that before we jump into the challenges that HeyGen is seeing, we're seeing. Let's ask the audience what they're seeing. So, what is your single biggest challenge for L&D heading into 2026? And thanks everyone for weighing in from where you are. We've got folks from literally all over the world joining today, so that's super exciting. Okay, we'll give it a couple more seconds and then we'll share the results. Okay, so we got roughly half of the audience saying personalized learning experiences at scale. But we got some good representation in other areas too. We have about a third of the people saying creating engaging content quickly enough to meet demand. So that's another one of those things. And they oftentimes work against each other. Try to be personalized. Seems like you need to slow down and be methodical, but you got to do it at scale and you got to do it fast enough. Measuring learning impact. I was actually a little surprised that it isn't a higher number, but it is an important aspect of being able to show what are we getting out of learning. And then usually everyone jumps on budget constraints. I think I might have should have changed this to pick as many as you want, and the numbers probably would have been a lot higher. But Karina, for you, I think the first two are the bullseye, which is creating that engaging content quickly to meet the demand. But then you have to be highly personalized, which is like one of the top things that we were going to talk about today. What are your thoughts?
What I love about this poll is it's clear that L&D leaders understand that you can't measure what you don't actually track, right? So measuring learning impact and ROI is a byproduct of having personalized learning experiences at scale. What we've seen customers do is like they often can't actually measure the learning impact because they don't have branching, they don't have interactivity, they don't have a truly interactive experience with their learners such that they're actually collecting data that can then be measured. So I actually think this poll is very along the lines of what I would expect. Budget constraints, I do agree with you, Michael. It is interesting that only 12% of the audience claim that. I would argue that the biggest constraint for an L&D leader is not necessarily budget in this day and age, it's actually time, right? So what we believe in HeyGen is we're not just saving you costs in terms of monetary costs, we're also saving you the cost of your time. And we're allowing you to create that engaging content quickly that I know 27% of the audience wants to do.
And we're going to learn how to do it.
Yes, we are.
All right, let's keep going. So just sharing a little bit of data that we see, and Karina can weigh in on her experience as well, but people like to know, like, what's the breakout as far as how people are delivering learning. So we data mine our award-winning case studies, which is well over 2,500 of them, and we have several hundred a year that get added from our awards program. And I just want to kind of put in place, like, where do we see this? So what are these organizations doing that are award winning? How are they incorporating video content? And you can see that it's still an area that can be growth. Self-paced e-learning, everyone gets people onto the old LMS, to pound things out. But it is interesting, though, that video content is now climbing. And what we're going to be talking about is, how we can supercharge that. How can we make it quicker and more to scale? And for any people in the audience, it would be great if you threw in like your percentage, roughly like what percentage of your learning is being delivered through video. That would be super interesting to know. Any thoughts here, Karina?
I think my biggest thought here is it's interesting that only 17.3% are in micro learning. We're actually seeing something slightly different where the need to actually have smaller courses to cater to the attention span of your employees has increased. But I think partly because if you have self-paced or if you have blended learning, you can actually have longer content formats. And so maybe that's the reason why the poll came in, or like the results are such that it's 40 and 19%, because if you're making it interactive and it's self-paced, you actually can ensure that the audience and the employee in this case, or the learner, can engage throughout a higher duration.
Good points. Okay.
So let's kick off to the next slide, and let's keep the pace up. I know I'm excited in the chat, so we can go to the next slide, Ivy.
So on the learning delivery slide, we're just kind of looking at here is how people deliver similar numbers. So let's talk about what that opportunity is, and let's get into how it all works. So let's ask, what percentage of your learning is being delivered via video? Okay, we'll give it a few more seconds. Okay, let's see where people fall out. So I'm gonna let you jump in, Karina, on these numbers.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about percentage?
I mean, again, I think in terms of like over 50% of the training includes a video, it doesn't surprise me that it's only 15%. And that, more of the audience, over 50% of the audience, is less than 25%. Because I think we've all talked about this already, like video creation is difficult, both from a budget and a time perspective. And this is why, platforms like HeyGen are built, is to ideally make this inversion of stats more seamless. But this is very in line with what I would have expected.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone, and keep chatting it up. If there's explanations, reasoning, justification why you picked the percentage that you did, feel free to share it with us. And also too, have those questions coming so we can make sure that we're answering what you'd like to know. But we're gonna continue, and I'm gonna turn this over to you, Kareem, because you're gonna tell us about the modern L&D challenge with video.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. So, what we've seen, and it was really awesome to kick off with the polls, right? Because first, we want to hear from all of you. But at HeyGen, we're seeing really four core main modern L&D challenges. First is that video is too expensive. Traditional video production actually drains time and resources. Agencies and equipment are, kind of the go-tos, and those are very, very draining on budget. The second is, as you've all shared, static content equals low engagement, right? So while a lot of L&D leaders are no longer creating as much video, like we saw in the poll, it's less than 25%. The reality is the status quo of slides and PowerPoints and PDFs just dilute the attention and the comprehension. So it's leaving learners disengaged. The third core reason we're seeing in terms of challenging aspects is that scaling globally is difficult, right? So right now, there's a lot of pressure on L&D leaders to cater to global workforces, and that slow localization kind of stalls the training delivery, meaning like something as simple as localizing the content for your employee in India is almost an afterthought, so to speak. And then lastly, I think this is probably the most pressing in terms of challenges. Processes and products and policies constantly evolve. And so as an L&D leader, you're constantly having to update your content. And as soon as you launch something, there might be 1 week where it's relevant, and then the next week it's stale. So if we go to the next slide, one thing that we really believe at HeyGen is there's also what we're hearing from customers. There's a lot of different disparate tools out there, right? So in the traditional training workflow, you have camera equipment, you have actors, voiceover, editing software, endless screen recordings, localization, and an LMS. But in the modern training workflow, HeyGen can actually replace all of that for you, with the exception of your LMS. You will always need a direct integration into that. So then if you go to the next slide. So our key priority here is really to simplify the entire training lifecycle. And the way we think about our training content lifecycle is there's four core stages. So first is creation of the content, right? How do you effortlessly produce dynamic interactive training videos that boost the completion and retention? And I promise I will get there and show you all exactly how to. The second is, how do you then localize that content, right? So how do you translate the videos instantly to engage every learner in their preferred language? The third is the management of that content. How do you refresh these training videos seamlessly to ensure that there's no costly reshoots or tedious edits? And the fourth is the measurement of the content, which is tracking the analytics beyond completion to prove your true impact on learning. And Michael, I'd love to hear from you. Is there aspects of the content lifecycle that you feel you're hearing more and more in terms of problems? And another maybe question is, are we missing a stage of the lifecycle altogether?
No, I don't think you're missing anything. I do think it touches on the points that we have to create, like, for example, that relationship between create and localize. We oftentimes say to learning organizations, you have to think globally but act locally when they're developing learning. So I think, those two go hand in hand. I wouldn't necessarily say they're sequential. Oftentimes they happen at the same time. And then I also do believe that you have to manage, and you also have to be able to get in there, intervene, and figure out when things are happening right and when things are happening wrong. I like the fact that you can do AI-based video because it's quick. Like if someone sees something or watches something, someone could literally write and say, you know what, I need a different angle. It's just not good. You can quickly turn that around and do it again. And then the measuring is important. And I think the point you make here, which we talk about all the time, is you can't just look at learning. The outcome of learning is learning. It's not about completions, grades. That's not it. That's the ultimate lag measure. Learning has to drive performance. So we have to look at how the true impact of learning is. If people watch these videos, can they apply what they need to apply, but can they do it in a frictionless, quicker, more effective, more efficient approach so that that time to proficiency we can cut down, which we all know in the audience is what our business stakeholders are pushing us on. It's how fast can we get someone to know this and they can do it.
I love that. I think time to proficiency is the exact ROI metric we're hearing our customers also be measured against. And that's how we think about value realization, right? It's quickly can you get the learner to the outcome that they need to be at to operate at scale. So if we go to the next slide, I'm now going to show you all how AI video is enabling two core things. And it really makes me so happy that in the poll, creation of engaging content, which is number one, which is the rapid content production, and then personalization and interactivity, which was number two, those were the top two answers. And those are the two things that we feel at HeyGen we really help solve for. And again, this should be interactive, just like any amazing learning design modules. So please feel free to add in the chat any questions. And then Ivy, we can just go to the next slide. So Michael, if you want to introduce this poll.
Sure. So it popped up pretty quickly, but what we're asking is what best describes your organization's current use of AI in learning and development? And that could very well connect back to the phases that we talked about earlier because they had kind of their own AI maturity in it. But putting that aside and just kind of looking into it, let us know. Okay. So it's interesting as we kind of work up and we put the various phases, they stayed pretty consistent. So you've got people that are interested and that haven't tried it about 30% and piloting, which is a total of 65, which would actually line up exactly with about the 70% or so of phase one and phase two in that very first question that we asked. And then we've got about a third, which lines up with that 28% or so that we saw earlier. And then the no current plans, there's one. We understand that not everyone's ready to get on the bandwagon about AI, but it's coming soon. So I think we're tracking pretty well that we're with an audience that has embraced it, is looking at it, and is either getting ready to start working on it or is piloting. So I think that's where we are. But again, I can't say enough times of what Karina's going over today. It's a near future. It's a today thing where you can bring in AI right away, and you don't have to worry about building out all the complexities of AI. So let's keep going.
And one thing I do want to call out, if you just go back to the post slide that I thought was really interesting, is 30% of you are interested but haven't started using AI and L&D yet. I just want to take a second to applaud you all because I think it's very daunting to wrap your head around the world of AI. And the fact that you're in this webinar today is already a first step in making sure you are set up for success and are future-proofing yourself for what's to come. So now we'll go into what exactly is to come, right? So if you go to the next slide, rapid content production, what we believe at HeyGen is it really starts with the most lifelike avatars. So we offer the highest quality avatars in the market. It's as simple as creating a digital twin of your course instructor, or you can even use a stock avatar from our diverse library. And as you're seeing even in this webinar, it's very clear if someone is engaged and excited to chat, right? And so what we really want to show is that these instructors are very, very engaged and are equipped to share the delivery of that training. And so we fundamentally believe at HeyGen that we're bringing a human touch to every video. AI is not here to replace the human, it's here to enhance the human. And we want to start by making the content more personal, engaging, and scalable. So on the next slide, what we really fundamentally believe is that users don't have to be video production editors or professional video makers to make a video in HeyGen, right? A lot of you mentioned that less than 25% of your training materials are video today. Our video agent actually writes the script for you, as you can see in this little GIF, picks the images, adds voiceover with emotions, and edits the transitions to automate the whole video creation process for you end to end. This allows you to kind of transform your complex production into one simple workflow. And it's truly as easy as how you would type with ChatGPT. And now it allows anyone in your L&D department to create polished videos very quickly and effortlessly. And we know by research that videos are 50 to 75% more engaging than PowerPoint slides or static PDFs. And this is like the first step to doing that is creating the video from a single prompt. Next slide, please. And one thing I want to emphasize is when we talked about the L&D problems we're seeing, the need to update the content constantly as processes and procedures evolve within your company is paramount, right? And what we're hearing from L&D leaders is the updates are as time consuming at times as the original video generation. You no longer have to worry about that because with HeyGen, you can edit as easily as you literally write a doc. And I showed this GIF because I find it funny how you can actually, in prior days, you would have to re-record everything if you wanted to reshoot a certain process or a procedure or screen recording. Now you just go in and you can edit your script, right? And it's as easy as writing a document. It allows you to control the tone, the delivery of your gestures, and the emotions in one solution. I want to mention personalization now and interactivity. That was the second key component. And we actually don't fundamentally believe you can have engaging content unless you have these. So from the personalization side, we use voice cloning and advanced lip sync technology to translate videos into 175 languages and dialects. What this means is that you can reach global audiences with authentic speech that sounds natural and true to your voice, regardless of the language. So if you look at this, they're translating it in French and German as we speak. Next slide, please, Ivy. I apologize. I had a little bit of a cough attack. You can also now send one link for every language, right? So with our multilingual player, you can actually share all your translated videos through a single link with easy audio and caption language switching. Now, why does that matter? We recognize at HeyGen that our videos are not necessarily living in just our tool. You're going to export our videos into the LMS of your learner's choice. And when you do that via SCORM, your learner can then go in and actually toggle to any language that you've translated that video to. That takes away the burden of having several different share links and several different languages that you have to track the ROI against. And it effectively allows your learners to view the language, the training in the language of their choice on demand. We also want, we also want to talk about this. And I always say, like, what is training without assessment? We believe that interactivity is all about assessment. And so what is training without quizzes, right? And we want to talk about this feature because it just launched actually within HeyGen. So with our built-in quizzes, you can actually reinforce key concepts and assess comprehension and keep your audience involved throughout the video experience. You can also turn viewers into participants, right? By testing their knowledge in real time. And so here you can see how easy it is to actually drop in a quiz into the video. We also allow you to enable scenario-based training via branching. And so adding branching to your HeyGen videos to create personalized, choose your own adventure learning experiences has proven to boost ROI for our customers who are stating that with branching videos, they are seeing roughly 25 to 30% increase in completion rates, which I think in L&D are the #1 metric, right, that you want to measure against for ROI, and ultimately the time to proficiency that Michael alluded to at the start of the webinar. So we're really letting viewers make decisions that shape the flow of the video, keeping them actively engaged, while also tailoring to their content needs and interests. So based on what they click here, you can see that the video actually changes. And that's why it's a true choose your own adventure. And lastly, we recognize that in L&D, supplemental materials are as important as core materials, right? And so sometimes to boost proficiency, you have to recognize where your learner is currently at in terms of their knowledge going into the training. And as a result, you have to be able to provide them supplemental materials on demand. So now we allow viewers to add and see embedded links in their HeyGen video experience to increase their engagement. So this allows you to guide your viewers to additional resources, product pages, or next steps, all, and this is key, without leaving the video itself, because completion is paramount. I know for a fact, having talked to many customers, that no training is complete, especially technical trainings, without a screen recording. That's why my team actually built the screen recorder feature. It's very similar to how you would think of a normal screen recorder, whether it's Loom or other companies that you're using. But the key here is it actually turns your demos and trainings and walkthroughs into professional videos. And what I want you to all pay attention to is when the screen recording takes place, after they actually add the screen recording as a new scene, you can see that it immediately got added in as a voice script. And why does that matter? Because if you decide that you said a lot or we've all been there, right? The awkward pauses, the ums, the filler words, the misspeaks, so to speak. You can edit it as easily as the doc. So you don't actually have to reshoot the video altogether. And this is saving time by generating narration, captions, and chapters and turning raw recordings into polished and ready to share videos in minutes. So those were the features. Michael, I would love to hear from you. What about the HeyGen features excited you the most, and any key feature feedback you have before we launch into the poll?
Well, while people are working through the poll, I think it's the very first one that's listed as an answer. Is our research points out to us, and when we talk to learning organizations every day, they need something that's faster to the point. They really, personalization was great, and we have to make sure we do that. But if we don't keep learning moving at the speed of business, that's where the challenge is going to be. The other piece that's here too is this increased learner engagement. The great thing about video is it draws people in because it's sensory recruitment. People love that. And the thing that we should talk about, and I'd love to get some chat going, is it makes it mobile enabled. A lot of learning just isn't in your pocket or in your hand learning. And video-based learning makes it very easy to learn on a device. And for a lot of just-in-time or learning in the flow of work, video is an amazing choice, but it takes a long time to build it and get it right. With what we're looking at with HeyGen today is we can create a mobile-enabled, highly engaging, draw in the best of the best as far as learning and let people learn whenever it's available and whenever they can focus on as well. So we have a lot of folks that talk about just-in-time learning being as simple as like, hey, I'm at I'm at the airport and I'm waiting to get on a plane. I have time. I'm waiting for a train. I've got this downtime. This is where e-learning, LMS courses, virtual instructor-led training, it just doesn't fit into the modern world. Whereas a high-impact video is what gets it done. So let's see what everyone said about their capability and biggest challenge. So it looks like people agree with me. The leading piece was rapid content creation and faster time to market by a long shot. So not a surprise here. How about for you, Karina?
Yeah, I mean, I think this question is very aligned with what we saw in the last question, which is rapid content creation and personalization are key. And one question I do want to align on is I think Melody asked a really good question, which is, are there any areas of training where AI video is not a good choice in your experience? And I would say like definitely don't feel the need to have an avatar in every one of your videos. A lot of our customers actually do voiceovers to start or screen recordings, and then they go from PowerPoint dynamic presentations to then having the avatar. So companies do sometimes start small and then jump all in and build more content over time. Melody, that's a great point. They do, however, start to bake in interactivity and translations faster. And that's because they recognize that for the content to be effective, those are almost must-haves versus nice-to-haves. And that helps you, for the 22% interested in this poll, increase learner engagement and retention.
Yeah, there's some more comments for you too, Karina, in the chat
Yeah,
that you
I'm
can
looking at
address as
that.
well.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. So Bertel said, I would like to get to a point where I don't have to bake the avatar video, but have a training video where my learner can interact with the avatar. That is a phenomenal question. By the way, I encourage everyone to reach out to me after this call. I'm happy to do, personalized demos and have our team kind of engage with you all as it relates to how HeyGen can effectively cater to your L&D needs. I think Bertel, that's something that we always think about is true interactivity. And we actually have a live avatar today. So if you decide not to do the web app experience, you can deploy a live avatar where the instructor is just talking to your learner. And that's next level interactivity. And that requires some dev resources on your end. But it's a great way to actually enable a conversational learning beyond just quizzing, branching, and embedded links.
There's one more question, if you can address, Karina, is that Melody was asking, is there an option to link this to XAPI?
Is there, sorry, what was that?
Is there an opportunity, an option to link your platform to XAPI?
Yeah, I mean, you can link platforms. And what is XAPI, you mean?
Well, XAPI is like it's a translation model to be able to take data out of your system,
Oh,
like put it into a learning record store.
yes.
So it's a
That
lot like
makes sense.
CMI. It's like a lot like CMI5. It's just a language portal.
Got it. Yeah. So within the API, all of these integrations could be possible. And if we don't have them, we would be able to build them if needed, depending on the API deployment. So that is something. And one thing I do want to get to with integrations is with our web app, my team launched SCORM and HTML embed codes. So you will be able to have these videos directly viewed by your employees in any LMS of your choice. And that will preserve the interactivity and the translation all directly within there.
Okay, I think we're doing very well on questions, and just want to thank everyone that continue to interact. And I think we can keep going, Karina.
Awesome. So when I get to this next question, I think one thing I've always heard about is people will have questions around the predictions, right? It's great to know where AI is, but what are the predictions for how emerging technologies will actually impact L&D in 2026? And you know what's crazy is as I say 2026, it sounds like the far future, but the reality is we're almost at Thanksgiving. So it is less than 6 weeks away. When we go to the next slide, I will share some of my predictions. So I have 5 core predictions, and I could be entirely wrong, but these are just mine, and then would love Michael to weigh in on his. I think digital humans will become the new instructional layer. We're already seeing around 61% of businesses in some of the research we've done planning to introduce some level of digital avatars. And again, it's not in every single training course or every single training material, but starting to experiment with it because they recognize how costly it is from a time and a budget perspective to have real life human instructors. And yet they want to mimic and almost experience the magic of that live training session that we've all been in. These function as always available, always consistent instructors. And that's the reason why I believe digital humans will become the new instructional layer. My second key prediction is that AI will become a creative co-pilot, not an actual creator. So what do I mean by that? I think one thing's very clear to me is 85% of the businesses that we've, surveyed say that human oversight, specifically in learning and development, is essential, right? So creative direction always stays human, but then AI, where does AI come in? It can handle the scale, the versioning, the adaptation for you. And I believe that this duality almost unlocks unprecedented agility. The next prediction is interactive and conversational learning becoming the norm, right? So 70% of learners believe interactive video will define engagement strategies. And I think this is already proven, actually, Michael's poll today, that so many of you wanted interactivity and personalization as an option. And so we believe that AI enables real-time Q&A, branching paths, and adaptive training sequences, as I've already shown in the features. The next prediction is AI embeds across the entire learning ecosystem, right? So it's when we show that life cycle, I just want to make it very clear. It's not just content creation. It's assessment, it's coaching, it's feedback loops, it's analytics, it's knowledge updates. This is where we fundamentally think AI has the disruption potential, because if it was just about creating the video, the technology would have been disrupted by itself a long time ago. And so what we're seeing is L&D is going to transition from delivering content to really managing a learning intelligence system end to end. And the last prediction is learning experiences will become borderless. I think we're already seeing this candidly with the globalization of the workforce, right? And AI is eliminating language as a barrier. So multilingual video communication is becoming a key strategic advantage for global enterprises. Those are some of my predictions. Michael, any reactions to some of these? And I would love, and I'm curious to see what Brandon Hall Group is seeing on your end.
Sure, but before we jump in, I think Melody asked a really interesting question. It's a platform question, but I think it's super relevant to answer. She said, I've always wondered about eye tracking with videos. What does the data show about that? And is anyone doing that?
We at HeyGen are not doing eye tracking, so we actually can't speak to that. I'm curious, Michael, what your data, if you have any, is showing on this.
It's an emerging technology to do it. There's been data that's been shown that it does help, and from a platform perspective, to see where people are concentrating their efforts. But I think this is where AI-enabled platforms over time will start to be able to get better at doing this. But it's a brand new technology, and it's going to take some time to catch on. I mean, as far as predictions are concerned, we kind of look at it from the curve of readiness. And I think where we see AI having the greatest lean in right now is in learning and development. And I think this is just a great example of where learning and development can have immediate benefit from AI. So my great prediction is the quicker you get into AI, the quicker you get into AI. So I think an opportunity to do it for video, which is like a sweet spot for content, is a really great place to start. And it's actually easier. If you think about with everything that Karina showed you today, for many of the instructional designers that might be joining us or other learning professionals, content creation with an LLM is actually harder to get accomplished. Take a look at what was able to be done today, and it's a finished product, high quality, versus using an LLM and having to train the LLM and then wondering whether it's hallucinating, what information it's using, iterations. You can use a platform like this and create high quality video in an instant. So this is what I believe, and again, the benefit of agentic is it's a now technology that can be immediately put to place. And I think from what we've seen, it's one of the easiest and most straightforward applications of AI and learning to date. I think there's more questions here. Do you see conversational coaching and testing as an area of growth for the platform?
Yes.
For example, a seller practicing a pitch or
Yes.
customer discovery call with
So we
AI.
already enabled that with our live avatar. So you can actually do that exact thing. And we're seeing a lot of this in terms of use cases, right? So Bertel, we should definitely chat after this call. You're spot on, right? So a seller practicing a pitch or a customer discovery call. Now all of a sudden you're also seeing this even within interviewing, right? You can automate the first round of an interview. And so this is all possible with the live avatar solution. And I'm happy to connect you with the live avatar team after. But within L&D, I think most folks are actually starting with the web app, right? And the reason they're starting with the web app is it allows you to create a lot more video and take your PowerPoint slides and make it as engaging as a presentation. We actually have a feature that my team launched where you can upload a PowerPoint slide and directly edit it within HeyGen, and then we create an end-to-end video for you. So these are the types of things that we're seeing often.
There's another great question for you, Karina, that I'm surprised someone hasn't asked it sooner, so I'm glad that Evelyn's jumping in. Is the starting point for building content, can it be based on, just providing outcomes of learners, like what provide reports, or is it like you have to sit down and actually physically start to create the content itself? Like what can you use to get this platform moving?
Oh, in terms of like what inputs can you put into the video to make the videos?
Right. Hmm.
As I just shared, like PowerPoint slides, I think are very, very good. And you can upload the PowerPoint slide and you can create a video. With Video Agent, you could also upload a report and have the video created for you. So that was the feature that I shared at the start of the call. We actually ingest a lot of these documents to make it as easy, to your point, Michael, to just get started and to get the platform moving fast.
And then the part two of that is, does your platform provide reports of the outcome of each learner?
No, so we have like basic tracking in terms of like our SCORM package, right? So completion rates, engagement, but those analytics will live within your LMS, and we allow for a SCORM export to actually track those analytics. It's not to say that you will track them within HeyGen itself, because from L&D customer feedback, we've heard that L&D folks, there's too many tools. You don't want to have 85 million different places to track the data. So we give you the data to then ingest within your LMS.
Excellent. Well, let's take a look at practical steps, Karina, to future-proofing your learning with AI-driven solutions.
Yeah,
And let's go
definitely.
to that. Let's go to the next slide and take a look at what you're seeing and what you think the audience should know.
Yeah, and we can make this, truly interactive. This part is, I don't think anyone can say they have the entire playbook just yet. We're constantly evolving. It's hard to have every step perfected, but here are some of the practical steps that I do believe help future proof your learning ecosystem. So, first is starting by modernizing your content production model, right? Like moving from episodic production cycles to more continuous content iteration. And I think a lot of this does have to do with adopting that text to video as your new baseline workflow because it allows for iteration and flexibility to be that much more easy. Michael, what do you think about that step?
Well, I think when we're looking at the term modernizing, this is one that I think we could spend a whole nother webinar on. What's the term of modernizing? And it isn't 100% synonymous with tech. Like we've got to, what I love about what you've brought in is you've also brought in modern design principles, a new and different way of thinking about how to be able to create content. So I think as much as it's the producing the video, it is a new, agile, more adaptive way of creating content. So I think what your tool will actually help people with is also to rethink the whole development and the whole modernization of learning, content development. That's what I like.
Yeah, that's and I also think to your point, like the term modernization, what does that actually mean? There's so many different definitions, as you've shared. The second is building a multilingual first learning strategy. Don't localize reactively, right? Design content that can actually deploy to every region simultaneously. Michael, has Brandon Hall Group done any research on the need for localization for content, or how do you think about a multilingual first learning strategy for L&D folks?
It's a pretty timely question to me because you're actually getting asked that same sort of question in the chat. So I'm going to go there first. So Jade's got a question that in Canada, almost all training needs need to be bilingual. How can your platform support this so it meets the Canadian French language standards? And can your platform translate on its own or would it need input in the script that has already been translated?
No, so we translate across 175 languages, video, visual, and audio, meaning if I'm talking like this, you can basically upload a video of me talking like this, and I can be speaking Hindi or Canadian French with my mouth moving exactly like that, so that you actually don't realize I don't speak Canadian French. This is something we handle entirely end to end with our partners in OpenAI and 11 Labs. And all you have to do is click the button. As I showed at the start of this call, it's as easy as just selecting the languages you want to translate in and clicking generate.
And then the other question that came in, you've got a couple more, is what types of interactivity are currently available and what is in the product pipeline backlog at HeyGen? Like what's coming next?
Yeah, so I think I just shared all of that in the feature slides. So Ivy, if you just want to go back a couple slides, we can just remind folks. It's really the last three slides that I shared of the feature. So if you go back a couple, Ivy, I want to make sure this is like clear for folks. Yep, and then you go back two more. So this is the type of interactivity we enable, right? Quizzing. The next one is branching. So you can actually choose, so if you go to the next slide, scenario-based learning via branching, you can upload different learning paths. And then the last one is embedded links. And I can't stress this enough, like please do spend time reviewing HeyGen and familiarizing yourself with these features. Like we guarantee a lot of different interactivity even within our product. And should you want a free trial, I'm happy to provide that too. In terms of the product pipeline, we're constantly going to take interactivity to the next level, whether it's with our live avatars, whether it's with AI generated quizzes, AI generated branching, the ability to upload a slide and effectively have end-to-end interactivity built in. Those are some of the things in the product roadmap.
And back to the question on the translation part, how can you guarantee the translation is correct? Who is doing the QA of this
Yeah.
translation?
So we don't guarantee it's 100% correct. We always say AI will take you 95% of the way. But what our customers do is a lot of them, it depends on the field that they're in, right? So for learning and development, internal training content, a lot of them generate it as is and maybe have a native speaker in their organization take a look at the quick output. For most, though, this works because it's, again, 90-95% correct. It's as accurate as any of the LLM models out there. But for the 5% last mile where 100% accuracy is required, we actually have a proofreader seat built in. And this is a seat that is deliberately free of cost, meaning at HeyGen, we charge on a per seat basis. You no longer have to pay for a proofreader because we recognize that accuracy is paramount, and they can go in and they can edit the script entirely. The only thing they can't do is generate the video, because we want to protect your company with the ability of having third parties generate videos that might have avatars or sensitive company information.
Okay, so kind of coming back to great questions, by the way. I'm glad we're rapid firing on those and getting them answered for you. So I know you asked me earlier, Karina, like what we think about practical steps. I think the most important thing that we're learning from the research is people need simple steps too. Like the amount of time that's required now is at a premium, as you brought up before. Like that's even more precious than budget is time required because we are humans and there's so many hours on the clock. So one of the things that is super important is being able to show that you can create a frictionless production environment. And that's what I was so impressed with the briefings that we've done with HeyGen and their team, is to understand that this really is outstanding output, but at the same time, it's a frictionless process. And if you're trying to future-proof your learning ecosystem, you need frictionless interaction with technology. It's got to be simple, it's got to be intuitive, and you can't spend a lot of time on it. And so that's really going to be an important part, because a new word that is popping up in L&D today from a practicality standpoint is we've talked about effectiveness for a long time. But now the word efficiency is coming up and efficacy is coming up. And those are the two things now that we really need to focus on if we're really going to future proof. And that's what our award-winning organizations have really had transformational change within their learning ecosystem, is they're saying they've created a more efficacious, more efficient process.
I definitely agree with that. And I think, in terms of the step that I just want to highlight real quickly, I know we only have a couple minutes left. It's great that we're doing Q&A simultaneously. It makes it a lot more engaging. Interactive and conversational learning is becoming the norm, but I do think it's important to integrate interactivity intentionally. So convert the passive video to interactive learning paths. Start with micro interactions. Start there and then roll it out to full adaptive branching, right? I think I always encourage customers to start small, as someone mentioned in the chat, as a way to just learn yourself and make sure you're on the adoption curve. The second thing is establish governance around digital humans, right? So define the usage standards, transparency guidelines, and brand safety parameters. I think it's very important to treat digital humans like brand assets and give them the attention and the compliance they deserve. And then lastly, I think what's really, really crucial for any of this to succeed is training your AI team, or your team, I should say, on AI literacy, right? So not just tools. It's very, very important to note that the highest performing L&D orgs treat AI fluency as a required skill. And they upskill designers, SMEs, trainers, and even business partners, because they recognize the future is here and they don't themselves want to get disrupted. So those would be like my final thoughts on some of these practical steps, so to speak.
Great segue. Let's open it up. We're just going to see if there's any last minute questions here. So we'll give folks a couple minutes just to see if there's anything else they'd like to ask before we start to wrap up today's session. Okay, it looks like our audience has asked all the questions that they'd like to ask for today. I'm going to turn it back over to Ivy. Ivy?
Thank you both. I'm thrilled to share that Jill Steinberg has won $100 off a Brennan Hall Group Institute membership. Jill, congratulations, and I will be in touch shortly with more details. Thank you.
And Corinne, any closing thoughts?
Well, first off, Michael and Ivy, it was great working with you both on this. Thank you so much for having us. And thank you to the Brandon Hall Group. I think the research you all are doing in this space is incredible and very innovative. And most importantly, thank you to our attendees. I recognize there are very few people as busy as L&D leaders. And the fact that you took out an hour of your busy day to just, share your perspectives and take that first step in understanding AI is so important. I'm going to leave my email in the chat should anyone want to reach out. I had enterprise product, as I mentioned, at HeyGen. Happy to share kind of learnings and what we're hearing, and then can connect you with our sales team if that is all of interest. But just thank you so much. I really enjoyed the session. I actually really enjoyed Michael's poll questions. Thank you, Michael, for that. And it felt like, we were chatting in front of a live audience. So that was what was really exciting for me.
So in the spirit of last minute questions, we have one more question. You answered. That's great. So there are training videos. There you go, Paul. That's
Yes.
terrific. Okay. Well, for all of us here at Brandon Hall Group and the HeyGen team, want to thank you very much. Karina, thank you. Thank you, HeyGen, also as well. Very exciting. Again, I can't stress enough, the future is now when it comes to AI, and this is a great application that's straightforward, easy to bring into the organization, and can have immediate impact. So I hope you spend the time wisely in taking a look at this. Also, for us here at Brandon Hall Group, thanks always. We love sharing research and insights with you. I want to thank all of you for joining today. And for those of you that are celebrating the Thanksgiving holiday, happy holidays. And we look forward to joining you on another session. And Karina, I'm going to take you up on having you come back
Yeah, I would
and
love
team
to.
sometime in 2026 and show us what the next advancements are and how far this has gone. So look forward to that follow up.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Take
All
care.
right, take care. Have a great
Bye.
day, everyone. Bye bye.